We're just about to get started here. Hopefully you guys are excited of what's been going on in the PC hardware space. I know there's been a lot of PC handhelds that's been released. And right now I'm just getting a chat pulled up and ready to go. What's up, Hash Hash? Glad to see you in here. Make sure we got everything lined up. Finally got this new power supply too for the camera. So no more camera shutting down. That was a big issue. Alright. Now it's time to go live. What's up, Fam Bam? What's up, everybody? Let me just adjust that. What's up, Fam Bam? What's up, guys? Hopefully you guys are into PC and tech. That's what I'm going to talk about today. If you have any questions when it comes to PC hardware or any questions overall, even about the PC handhelds, you could also feel free to ask. There is some new processors that are currently being leaked about the whole AMD Ryzen AI 388 they have, and they also have the AI 395. Which are going to be very interesting processors. Same thing with the AMD 9700X3D and supposedly a 7500X3D. But we'll see what actually is true once it does end up getting released here. So right now, we just released a video about the whole Lenovo Legion Go 2. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. What's up, Derek? Welcome in. Thank you for joining in. And let me make sure something here. Okay. Yeah, there we go. Beautiful. Yeah, it is working. So they do have these new AMD processors coming out. Intel also has Panther Lake that's going to be soon released. But this is more focused on the laptop and even the gaming side of things. If they come out with their own type of gaming handheld, which they eventually will if Panther Lake proves a success. But I gotta say, it's been interesting on their side. Their naming scheme has been quite confusing for the most part. I gotta share it with you guys because if you see it, it's definitely going to throw anybody off that is going to be looking for any type of a PC that contains Panther Lake. And let me open this up because you wouldn't believe how it looks. And it's so close with the names with each other. It just makes you wonder what Intel was thinking when they came out with these 300 the 300 series when it came to the Ultra 300. So take a look. This is on videocards.com. I'm going to switch it over to the browser side here, and you can see. Let me see right there. So you can see right here that their name scheme here is like 356H. They have the 358H. 366H, 368H. So this is going to pretty much throw everybody off. Even the whole max boost speeds. We all know that Panther Lake is going to be able to boost up to 5.1 gigahertz. Now these other processors that they're allegedly going to release too are supposed to have like smaller amounts of boost. Now they are supposed to feature a few more graphics cores in there compared to what they did in the original. In this, let me see, on this one, it doesn't, yeah, right here, the 4xe3, here it has the 12xe3 compared to their lower tier ones. So I'm curious to see how well Panther Lake does end up performing. Hopefully it does well, and more than likely when they do come out with a desktop variant, it's going to be more of a hybrid type of processor here. With AMD's side, they're also planning to release their own version, which is going to be the, as if you're not familiar with already, is the Ryzen AI 395. This is also in some gaming handhelds that are actually already out. I can't remember the exact name of one, but it's like a little bit, I think it's like around like $2,500. It's up there in pricing, but it certainly is laptop performance on a handheld. Nobody's gonna really want to spend that much on a handheld device, I believe. But I can say for anybody that is looking to build a PC, it's definitely going to be a great starting point for if they do end up releasing this 7500X3D. What's up, LSG? good to see you. Welcome in. Shout out to LSG. Oh, okay. Apologize for that. Okay. Hopefully that does it. Hopefully that fixes the mic right there. With this whole new setup, I got to get used to the different distances and everything with the mic. But allegedly, this whole AMD Ryzen 5 7500X3D is supposed to release. It looks quite like a interesting processor. We're gonna go back over here so I could show you guys. Now I believe it's only 6 cores and 12 threads here. So what's up? What's up, Run? So i9 14900K integrated graphics capabilities for 1440p. So you want to use your 14. So you want to go to 1440 and you want to use a 14900K. I mean, you could do it, but are you looking? What are you trying to do exactly? If you're just going to be using it just like for desktop purposes, it could be done. But if you're trying to also use it for something like gaming, then it's not going to work as intended. Oh, really? Let me fix that then. Give me a second, guys. Seems that my mic is a little bit lower than expected here. So I apologize for that. Oh, okay. I see what it is. How's that? That's probably a lot better now, right? It seemed that I had the high pass setting a little bit too high. So I do apologize for that. Hopefully that is a lot better here. I could raise it up a bit more if it is too low for you guys. But it does seem that the 7500X3D is going to end up as a processor. Same thing with the 9700X3D. It's practically going to be like more of the budget processor that you can get. Yeah, that high pass filter was one. I do apologize for anybody that was coming in and that mic was that ended up being a little bit too low. But I thank everybody for coming in. I'm Chris Mizo. If you're unfamiliar with who I am, I talk about PC and tech. Welcome to the channel. You can feel free to ask anything about PC hardware. You can feel free if you want to ask about a PC build. If you have PC problems, you can also ask. What's up, Squeeze? Good to see you. And also, if you want to you could also ask questions about the Lenovo Legion Go 2 if you're interested in that device as well. And also there is, again, we're on the topics of currently about the new processors that are being released, and also the GPU issue that I don't know if you guys heard or not, but the whole 12-volt high power ports. Let me switch up real quick with you guys. So the whole issue with the 12-volt high power port, specifically on the 9070 XT, there's been about 3 cases currently that has burnt connectors. So with the 12-volt high power port, it's usually a blue connector that comes with the Sapphire Nitro Plus. If you use the one that comes with the 3-in-1 harness, you could use it to hook it up to your PCI Express, to your power supply, to power up your 12-volt high power port. Unfortunately, some people still ran into a problem when they did plug in that 12-volt high power port to their Sapphire Nitro Plus and apparently burned the connector. Luckily, there was no real damage when it came to the GPU side, but it does seem that the actual connector ended up taking more of the brunt of the damage. So if you are connecting anything that is 12-volt high power ports, I highly recommend everyone to sit it in completely flush. Did the 5K RPM, let me take a look at that. If anybody doesn't know, we also have a Discord channel. You could also feel free to ask questions on there as well. If you don't want to ask in the chat, that's perfectly fine too. But I also do end up sharing anything that does go onto Discord that you would like to be shared. So also feel free to join. If you want to join, it's down in the description box down below. If you're on Twitch, it's simply just go to www.chrismizo.com and you can easily join and become a Discord member. It's completely free to just sit, hang out with the guys. You can feel free to show off your PC builds, or you can even show off that your current build that you do have. You feel free to show your benchmarks. But let's take a look at Squeeze here. I think I did. Let me take a look. So I'm going to open up Discord here, and we're going to take a look at it. But yes, so if anybody does have a 12-volt high power port, just make sure it's completely flush. You can have some serious issues if it's not going to be sitting completely flush. You don't want any of the colors showing. Now they come in different colors recently, such as the Sapphire Nitro Plus. It comes in blue. They also have the yellow ones that you've been also seeing burn out recently. There's been like 5 or 6 of the MSI connectors that have been burning out, which are due to mostly the RTX 5090. So I might buy some frosted straps to cover the LED. No, I get it. I know some people don't completely like the LED look. I can say what is current is that there is a lot of a color variation now compared to what it used to be. A lot of people used to prefer buying the black variant, but now that's not the case. I see a lot more white motherboards and white cases now. It seems like there are more builds going in that direction, and also even stealth builds. So if you're not a fan of RGBs, it's not, you don't have to have RGBs connected to a PC in order to be able to have one together. You can build without RGBs. And also there is going to be another topic I do want to bring up for everybody. So let me see which server was it in Squeeze, just to make sure. Was it in the PC hardware side? I don't have any RGB. It's all static. Okay, no, that makes sense. I'm assuming it's in the PC hardware side. Let's take a look here. And let me go to, maybe it's over. I almost built my first PC case, the 2000 Zoo Storm. You know, a great case that, one of my favorite cases that really should come back. Yes, we can talk about the new AMD GPUs. It's more or so indication that there are going to come out at CES 2026, and hopefully they do. We will be live streaming that also once it comes around to the date, so make sure to write down the date on your calendar. AMD is going to have their keynote on the 5th. What's up? Good to see you. It was in general. I figured that. Okay, so let me go up here. Oh yeah, the fan speeds. So, yes, you ramped them up all the way. And there was no, and there was, I do remember seeing that. So I'm going to show it real quick. The 10900 XT, I do hope that they do release that. That would be great if they did. It would certainly bring up the competition when it comes to going up against something like NVIDIA. We could use more competition because it certainly would help the pricing side. AMD has been on their A game, especially when it comes to their GPUs. So I'm just going to switch over to Discord here and show exactly what Squeeze was showing. He has his fans set to practically 100%. So the 10900 XT, the 6090 won't be for a while, unfortunately. UDNA. Yeah, you know what? I haven't, to be honest, I haven't got to dig too deep into it because the thing is, you know how it comes to rumors. We're not going to be 100% sure until it actually ends up being released. But I can say that we are certain that there are some indications of RDNA 5. Now, the whole thing with RDNA 5, when that ends up being released, is certainly going to be a game changer, because from what I am hearing, that it's supposed to even catch up to ray tracing when it comes to NVIDIA. And if NVIDIA doesn't really answer, because they've been really focused on the whole AI side, because they've been so focused on the AI side, they're not even, more than likely, they're not going to end up releasing any of the 50 series supers during the whole CES 2026. So if they don't do so, we could expect them to release supers later, probably in the middle of 2026 maybe. but that would be NVIDIA's fault for kind of slacking back. But it's also good on AMD to make a power move, such as creating some GPUs. So I am a bit out of CPU talk, but Xiaomi is making a 8mm thick phone with a 9,000 milliamp battery. That's almost 2 times that is almost 2 times the size. Yes, I think it's because they are also talking about RDNA 5. That's what I've been hearing, but we will see. What's up, ADX? Good to see you. Good to see all of you. So yeah, that's what I'm hearing about the whole CES 2026. During their keynote, they're supposed to bring up the whole RDNA 5. It could just be specifically because they also do want to focus on the whole 9000G processors. And if you're not familiar with their 9000G processors, they're practically their integrated graphics processors, practically like the 8000Gs or the 7000Gs. 8000Gs, they were experimenting a lot with them because you could even play games such as Starfield that they were really pushing out there. But with the 9000G, it's supposed to be like a complete game changer on that side. So did you get PCBS2? No, I don't think so. I'm not sure what you mean by PCBS2. If they make a 10950 XTX or a 10900 XTX, I'm buying it today. Man, if they do buy it, I would love for them. I mean, if they do end up dropping it, right? If they did end up dropping in this whole 10900, if they call it 10900 XTX or 10950, who knows what AMD will name it. More than likely, I have a good indication that they will end up they're going to name it such as like AMD AI and then give it whatsoever numbers, because they're going to have a better focus when it comes to the whole naming scheme, because we all know it's AMD's kind of a little bit rough here when it comes to their GPU side, when it comes to the naming scheme, similar to their 9060 XTs. It would throw anybody off because you would assume the 9060 XT would be the 16GB variant, but no, they do have a 8GB variant of the AMD 9060 XT, so it certainly, let's hope that they do end up changing that. And they certainly got to change their whole marketing side. PC building, no, I didn't get it yet. No, I did not. That just reminded me. Thanks for reminding me, Squeeze. How much gigabytes do you have? I almost have 200. When it comes to storage, I have to have a ton. Right now in this current PC build, I have the streaming build. It's 4 terabytes on my main drive, and then I got 2 terabytes and another 4 terabytes. Oh yeah, Lisa. Oh, that's funny. That certainly obsessed with Lisa Sue. But yeah, she'll be there. She'll be at TS 2026. 4 terabytes. Awesome. How much terabytes does everyone have in their PC? What do you feel is sufficient? Especially if you're a gamer, I would like to know how many terabytes do you feel is comfortable for you without uninstalling so many games? Because that's another big issue. I'd say storage is more of the issue than actual speed, because you can honestly get PCI Express 4 and you'll be perfectly happy with it over PCI Express 5 as long as if you have enough storage. But if you do notice that it doesn't really matter about the speed on the drive when it comes to PCI Express. If you get M.2, right? That's say 4 terabytes, that's PCI Express 5, it's going to cost just a little bit more than PCI Express 4. It's not a dramatic shift. So they know for a fact, manufacturers know that storage is really what people are looking for. So I used to have 5 terabytes and 3 terabytes external, but my PSU, oh really? Oh, that sucks. 2 terabytes is adequate. I certainly feel like 2 terabytes is like right. It's a perfect amount, I gotta say. LHD got 12 terabytes. That's awesome. Yeah, see, that makes sense. Now, for anyone that is planning to create content, how many terabytes do you currently have? Now, there's no real wrong answer to this question. The reason why I'm asking this is because if you do plan on continuing to make content, it's always good to have some sort of backup drive to your PC, because just in case if something weird happens, say for some reason YouTube server goes down, you're going to want to keep everything backed up. Same thing with Twitch. So you want to make sure that you have your streams backed up into your drive. And especially when it comes to streams, you want to have a pretty large drive. I'm pretty sure if anybody streams out there, it's going to constantly build up, especially how often you stream. So want to also see the 1690 specs as well to see if AMD has actually caught up when it comes to both releases or final. Now, I would like to see it. It seems that they already have, I'm assuming it's going to be some part of Rubin here. And that's like their new one that they've been releasing, but that's more of the enterprise side. And I think more than likely it's going to be indications of that. I don't think, I think NVIDIA will end up changing the game and not really be called RTX anymore. I feel that they are going to end up going to PTX, or they're going to change their name to AI as well, to AI something. But I think they're going to stray away from the RTX line when they do end up coming out with their new generational cards here. My friend has 14 terabytes. My best friend has up to 24. That's a ton. That's plenty. I have exactly 32 terabytes of optical drives. That's great. Because do you remember how it was? Like, especially for anybody back then, like that's how you would back up everything. You would just have to store everything on an optical drive. So the way it was you would have like all these DVDs or CDs, and you would keep like spindles, and you would just have them stacked, and you would name them just what they were. Like, for example, you would have a optical CD just for, like, say, you would have it for photos, and then you would have one for videos, and you would save them as data instead of saving them as an actual like MP3 or a audio disc, because once you do that, it uses the space differently when it comes to optical drives. So you should my next build will be yeah, that would be great. A network attached system is the way to go. That would definitely be great for anybody that wants the extra space. I'm with you, LSG. I 100% agree. I want to go more into a network attached system as well myself. Currently, I just use like a Western Digital drive, but I have it hooked up to my Asus router. Luckily, they have USBs on there, so I can use it more like a cloud. And that's another video that I'll be coming up with soon, just in case for anybody that is interested in getting something like a Western Digital external drive or a Seagate external drive. You want to hook it up to your router and have your own cloud instead of paying, like, say, Google or paying for Apple Cloud or any other cloud. You can actually have your own personal one. It does, right? My hair grows insanely quick. And so does my beard. The one guy with 128 terabytes, that would be insane. I think the largest I've heard anyone has ever had was up to it was up to 2 petabytes. Could you imagine petabytes? Like having 2 petabytes. So we'll all need optical SSD bays in order to get the speeds soon, like glass storage. Yeah, pretty soon it's going to get to that point. Like just the quick swaps. That's what's really nice about network attached systems, because you could easily swap them. They have, like, especially if you get the right case for it. Now, if the one case that I specifically do like is Silverstone. Silverstone has some dope cases. There's another one too, but it begins with a J, and they would be also great to make network attached systems too. My phone is at 2%. Oh no. Hopefully everything went well with your studies. I only have 43 terabytes right now, but I'm going to get 64. That's still insane. That's a lot of storage. Anyway, why is no one talking about the light speeds link as well? I've heard people talking about it, sending data over satellite using light. That would be incredible. Again, that's one of those things that's like in a work in progress. They've always been talking about that, but until it actually happens, it would be nice. So I have 10700T removed TDP. So are you like a K64 gigabyte RAM, an overclock Red GTX 1060 equivalent to a 3050? I went to a 5060 Ti and up to 28 gigabytes of RAM and a 14700. Oh, 128. Yeah, 128 gigabytes of RAM. That's great. That's certainly great. So if anybody's looking to, and I do have to forewarn everybody. Now, if you haven't built your PC yet, you might want to build one soon, especially for those who needs RAM, or maybe you need to upgrade your PC's RAM because it is extremely expensive currently. If you take a look at the pricing of RAM, it's just insane. Eventually, it's going to hit the GPU side as well. Reason why it would hit the GPU side as well is because of the VRAM that GPUs do use. And this is all because of the whole AI servers that have been buying up a lot of RAM, and currently has affected the whole consumer market. Eventually, it's going to get, hopefully it cools off, and more than likely, we'll see how it goes on Black Friday. I'm just curious. Like, when Black Friday does come around, I'm curious to see if the RAM ends up starting to drop in price, or if they will hold steady. So I do CPU and RAM heavy stuff. My DDR4 RAM cost $140. So that's not bad. I maxed out my RAM and CPU on Beam NG. Oh, okay. So went to get 64 gigabytes last month, and yeah, watch it go from 200 up. It's insane because if you look at the pricing has gone up like about 50 to 100%, and that's no joke. I mean, like, you could really go to like a typical RAM set that you would see that we purchased at Micro Center for like about a couple months ago. We only spent, it was about $90. It was $90 for some really basic RAM. It was just something to get the PC build really going. And that was, it was 6,000 megahertz with CL36. So of course latency is a little higher, but again, this is just to get the PC build started, just to have it running, and then worry about RAM to upgrade later. But man, that's certainly a misguided mistake back then. But at least it was bought back then, because otherwise it would have been crazy expensive. And again, the price was about $30 for it. And now if you take a look at it, which I'm going to show you guys here, you could take a look at some, like, say, take a look at this. Crucial Pro 48 gigabytes. This is just for one stick. Now they're starting to run a little bit lower in memory. This is insane. G-Skill Trident Z5 Royal Series 64 gigabytes has gone up to $619. So that just gives you indication of how expensive that the RAM is getting. So if you do not have any RAM for your PC build, keep an eye out. Try to catch them on sale. The best ones that we currently have found were Crucial's RAM. Crucial's RAM, again, they're a great company. No need to be afraid of their brand, but they also have RAM for a great deal. But I'm not sure how it's looking now. And that was when we were first trying to figure out the whole pricing. Let's take a look at Crucial. That's really the key. It seems like they've been, well, yeah, they're starting to push up themselves a bit. Because you can take a look, 6,000 megahertz, right, for 16 gigabytes. And it is, let's see. I want to see the latency. This is the lifetime warranty model. And this is more of the professional series. So it's not going to say anything there. But I mean, it's just insane. Look at these pricing. Like, you see $1,900. Who's gonna spend $1,900? They're trying to make you buy all this RAM. So I need to ask this question: how much FPS do I have? Currently have 200. I might go to get some tomorrow. And what game? Okay, so you're trying to get 200. B-die is good. B-die is good to have. Especially on DDR4, that's when it matters. DDR5, it doesn't matter as much when it comes to Samsung's B-die. In fact, I believe it's Hynix that they use more often when it comes to DDR5. So what graphics and resolution? Okay, it looks like Squeeze wants to answer that. Answer the question there. So while he's answering the question, I can say that if you haven't looked at RAM already, definitely take a look. A Micro Center would be the best bet. If you have a Micro Center close to you, you're more than likely going to find better deals. And say you try to find some 6,000 megahertz, more than likely it's going to be better than Newegg without a doubt. So let's look at Micro Center, and it looks like their site's not working on that side at least. So we'll just manually look for it. So we're going to go to their computer memory, and we'll see what they have. So Gigabyte hasn't updated what QVL is in ages. What RAM kits would you recommend for X670 gaming XA? So for X670 to start off with, you're going to be safe with 6,000 megahertz. That's like the perfect number for AMD. That's like to reach their infinity cache. You could go up as high as 6,400 megahertz, but to start off with, if you want to get something cheaper, get 6,000 megahertz. CL30 is like probably the best to get, and then they do have lower latency ones, but as you know, the RAM is a bit more expensive on that side. So if you do end up going with a RAM kit, make sure to go with something that's at least between 6,000 to 6,400 megahertz, and anything that's CL30 and under, if you can get it for a good deal. Like, this is a bit more fair. At least Micro Center selling some RAM for a better deal. This is, again, CL36, that's really high. $200 is not the average price for CL36 for a set like this. This is actually should be a lot closer to around, let me see, it should be more closer around, again, like $90. The RAM that we did buy was Corsair's RGBs, 32 gigabytes, CL36. Look, $211.99. So my first PC task manager glitched and said it was DDR2 or AM50. Yeah, that was crazy. I'm saying 6,000 CL36 at 32 gigabytes, but 164 gigabyte kits. Yeah, 64 gigabytes is like now to give your PC enough breathing room, because now 32 gigabytes is now going to be just to kind of pass by. It's going to be just to get your PC started, because 32 gigabytes is more or so the minimum anymore when it does come to PC gaming. So if you, or even just like if you're just trying to use it for any type of like content creation use, I would always advise to get more RAM, because if you are and you're going to make video, it's much better to have more RAM, so that way you have much more temporary storage to place your as if you're like working on your footage, on your videos, you just could use that extra temporary storage. Same thing when it comes to like you're using After Effects, or if you're streaming, it does take up a good amount of power out your PC. Also, it's also good to take advantage of any CPUs if you can get something that is more multi-thread, for anyone out there that is more into doing more of production usage. So my first PC, let's see, 1.8 terabytes right now. So top 3 non-liquid metal thermal compound for the i9. So you prefer non-metal. Okay, that's an interesting one. So if you prefer non-metal, I would say MX6, I think, is a decent one. I believe they have a ceramic one. Are you looking for more of like a ceramic type of thermal compound? Because that would actually work. I think Cryo is not too bad. And I believe Thermal Grizzly has a version where it's ceramic as well. They're all great brands to use if that's what you prefer. So I'll show you guys too, like Thermal Grizzly. Now, what I don't recommend anybody to do, of course you can always do it if you want, but I usually don't recommend anyone to do this, is to use the thermal pads to install your CPUs. Typically, it's not a good idea. It's much better to go ahead and use something more like a thermal paste for it. So on any new Intel new CPUs, KPX would be good too. Okay, there you go. So my power supply has 3-pin fan connectors coming out of it. that's that's just going to run it at 100% at full speed. Now anybody could hook up their fans directly to their power supply, but yeah, you just won't have no control over it. So wait, I forgot how much terabytes or gigabytes do you have? For me, well, I have 4 terabytes on my main drive, and then I also have 4 terabytes on a backup drive and 2 terabytes on my other backup drive. And then I also have the storage that's connected to my cloud, and so far I got 24 terabytes, and that's what's like really holding me off. Eventually I do want to build a network attached system. I think that would be a great project. I think everyone would certainly enjoy seeing something like that, because that would be a very reliable tool for anyone, especially if you're looking for like a cloud of your own, practically. So speaking of which, let me show you Thermal Grizzly here. So I'm going to show you some of their products, and here it is. They have let me pull it up here so that way I can show you guys. So be right back. I gotta empty my other room. My brother. Okay, I gotcha. Take your time. Okay, let's see. It is right here. It's funny because they're really pushing a lot of these pads now, from what I'm seeing. Do you do any blog projects, or do you know anything about the new CPUs and GPUs for Intel? So the latest I can tell you when it comes to Intel's GPUs, it seems like that's more on standby currently. They're more focused on the whole CPU project because they really want to push out their 18A. 18A is their biggest processor, and it's supposed to be a lot more revolutionary, where it's able to compete with something like AMD against their 3nm nodes. So, but really, that's a whole argument, a different argument. I'm just thinking in my head with the whole 18A, and really it should be going up against TSMC's 2nm nodes. But the fact is, that's what Intel's really focused on. They're focused more on the processor side. They're more focused on 18A. They do want to even bring out 14A. That's how confident they are on their processors. Hopefully they do come out with a better naming scheme. More than likely they are going to end up switching out their sockets over to LGA 1954 compared to being on their LGA 18. I think it's their 1856 that they're 1851 that they're currently on. So it's going to have quite a bit more pins, not a whole lot, a little bit over 100, and it's supposed to be able to a lot more powerful in a sense compared to what Arrow Lake was, because Arrow Lake is more energy efficient compared to Intel's Panther Lake that is working on coming out. So what is the best bang? Oh, let me finish real quick on James Hill's question too. On top of it, their GPUs are more on the side of things. So again, they're focused more on the whole CPU side. But to answer, sorry officer, what is best bang for the buck in GPUs for AMD build? I would say the best bang for your buck would be the 9060 XT. You can certainly get it. It's up to 16 gigabytes. Again, that's the minimal GPU that you will want for your PC. Now you can go, if you're looking for value and performance, like if you want the best of both worlds, this even beats out NVIDIA in this sense, which is going to be the RX 9070 XT. Out of all the GPUs that I've currently tried out, I have to say that the 9070 XT has been the most impressive out of all of them, regardless compared to a RTX 5070 to the RTX 5090 even. The RX 9070 XT has been quite a impressive GPU. Their drivers were great, and there was no real issues that I had with it besides certain games that you might run into little issues, but that's more of the patching when it comes to certain games, such as Battlefield 6. I know some people have been experiencing issues more on the AMD side. That's both on the processor and the GPU side. And on the GPU side, there's been like random crashes. Hopefully that gets fixed soon. That's more on EA to answer that. Now, when it comes to the whole GPU side, I would say there hasn't been real issues in any other games unless they're more NVIDIA focused. But again, that's normal. Same thing with NVIDIA. You'll run into problems with other games that are a bit more AMD focused. So, Chris, I'm trying to make a game about level that are about fighting really strong people. Okay. So can you give me any advice? By the way, I have very good software. What's up, Hash? I'm on a budget, and I am on a budget. I'll answer your question soon, ADX. I'll think of something here. So, because it sounds like you want to come out with some sort of RPG, and I'll definitely help you on that side. Yo, Chris, I'm on a budget, and I am on a budget. Know what parts should I get? So, how much of a budget are you on? I need to know a dollar amount, so that way we can really look together here. And let me just show you this thermal paste here real quick. Here goes some. Let me see. I'm not sure which one's in this one. Let me see. This one has the properties. Cryonaut. This is no good. I'll find it. I know it's here somewhere. And let me see. Okay, so let me know your budget. We will certainly look for that. Look for a PC build that way. Right now, I'm currently trying to find that perfect thermal paste for you. Doranot. Is it this one? Yeah. Once I find it, I will definitely share it. Like, I don't know, maybe $1,000 to $500 to $1,000. Have I done any sim racing? Not really. I haven't done too many. By the way, I live in a country full of taxes. So you have about a $500 to $1,000 budget for a PC build. I mean, it can be done. Now, of course, it depends on the country that you're in, and then I can certainly help you figure out your list from there. The boss's name is the strongest clicker. Oh, okay. Yeah, I gotta hear it. I gotta hear your ideas. Oh, Brazil. Once I hear Brazil, I already know it's going to be expensive. Because the thing is, when it comes to Brazil, it comes to their, as you know, it comes to their cost when it comes to customs. So it's possible, but it's not going to be, it's obviously not going to be an easy road. If you are looking for processors and you're trying to go AM5, I would say go 9600X. See how much it is in your country. I'm just curious. So, or maybe like $2,000 limit, maybe. Yeah, I mean, I don't see why not. It can be done. The thing I'm worried more about you in Brazil is going to be the RAM, because I can't imagine how expensive it is there, because it's already expensive here. So let me know your pricing on your end. Let me know how much you see it for currently, because I'm pretty curious. Because you want to run for like at least, take a look at the RAM first. And GPU wise, you could go with something like a 9060 XT, or even Intel's B570 even. Like a Ryzen. So what type of games do you play, by the way? Just to make sure, so we can get a good clarification on what we can do with this build. Because if you play games more like Fortnite, you certainly can get away with something like a Intel like B570. That would be on the lower end and won't be as expensive, and you can certainly enjoy it. You can certainly enjoy gaming on it. Let me make this box smaller. I just realized on the vertical side my face looks extremely big. So I apologize for that. Let me make that smaller for you guys. And it might look a little bit weird. There we go. Maybe that's better. There we go. Yeah. I guess it's gonna have to be like that. Okay, perfect. So I'm not trying to make it as popular. I only want a few 10,000 people for now, some light ones, but I'm planning on playing games like Red Dead and others. Okay, so I also want good performance. So for this build, let's just go with a 9060 XT. That's definitely the safest bet. It's not going to be expensive. See how much a 9700, I mean not 97, get a 9600X. For your board, get like a B850. If it's still a little too high, go with X670. It should be a bit cheaper now compared to what the current X870Es are. So you can go X670, go with a 9600X, and go with a 9060 XT. For RAM, you want to get something more along the lines of at least 32 gigabytes at the minimum, because you don't want to run into any issues. That's going to be the most up to date when it comes to it. Now, for the rest of the parts, will be completely up to you when it comes to storage. For storage, more than likely, you're probably going to want to get at least 1 terabyte. You don't have to get PCI Express 5. You could go PCI Express 4. That's perfectly fine. Power supply, you're going to want at least about 850 watts. About that, I think that's just around the perfect number for you. And when it comes to your case, pick a case where you get decent ventilation, something like a Corsair 4000, I would say. So trying to earn 400, 16 gigabytes. One is like $80. Okay, so it's not. So it's almost average. It's almost like what it is here, unfortunately. A B6, I would say B652. I was thinking that, but the thing is, he just has to make sure to definitely update it. A B650 wouldn't be bad, and I would compare the pricing too, just in case. Because let's take a look here. We're just going to take a look, and we're going to take a look and see what they have when it comes to deals. So let's try a B650 compared to something like an X670, because that's what we're really curious about here. So you can get one as low as $109, so that's not bad. And that's for the smaller board. That's for the B650M. So for the B650M, not bad. Now let's try BX670, because you might be able to get a board cheap too with them, and that's a bit more of an wow. They actually went up a little bit in price here. So let's go here. Let's go to lowest price and see what they have. So I would get like 2 terabytes of storage and a 5070. 5070, but the 5070 alone is like around 600 about. It's like about 5 to 6 for the 5070. And that's like half of, well, if you're spending 2,000, it'd be like, I mean, you could fit it in, but again, it's only 12. You don't want to have just 12 gigabytes of storage. I mean, 12 gigabytes of VRAM. You want to have at least, you want to have 16 gigabytes at the minimum. So, yeah, the 5070 is not bad, but if you could go 5070 Ti, get like a Asus Tough 5070 Ti, if you have the little extra money to get it. I might get the X670. That's what I thought. Here we go. So they have refurbished ones. Now let's see if they got any new ones. Let's take a look. We're going to switch this up here. Now, if you don't mind refurbished, it's more than likely good. But then this is $223. So you definitely could save a lot more if you go B650. You could get the B650, go Mini ATX or ITX, and it was only $109 for that board. So you'll save like almost $120 off of that. So my specs: Ryzen 5600G, Radeon RX 6600 XT, awesome. Dual channel, 16 gigabytes of Kingston RAM, 1 terabyte NVMe. Sorry, but if you need help in the game, you need at least 30,000 coins for a teammate. He's not that strong, but okay. So how many watts does an AMD Ryzen 7 7700 and a NVIDIA RTX 4060 Ti 16 gigabyte uses? Are you trying to find a power supply that you're trying to put together for it? Because the Ryzen 7 7700, they're not really going to use that much. It's going to be on the lower end. Now the 7700 should be, it's not the K, just the, I mean not the K, the 7700X. just to confirm. Holy, 5070 is $1,000 now. That's a lot more than it should be. The boss has, okay. So I have a really good question. If I add like 16 gigabytes of RAM to my laptop, it's an Asus VivoBook at 15x 540. No, to be really honest, not really. I mean, if you're planning a PC build as it is, you're not going to touch that laptop, to be honest. After you get that PC build done, you're not even going to look at it. Yeah, so if you go, again, you go B650 here, and say you get this Gigabyte B650M. How about, you know what? Let's go to just like PC parts picker, and we can create the list real quick. So let me switch back here, and then we can put it together live. So that way we can definitely take a look at it. Let's see. There we go. And all right, so let me switch it back real quick, guys. Oh, okay. So it's so we're in PC parts picker, right? So we're gonna put together this build and see how much we can get a good idea for the pricing. Okay, so you're looking for the power supply. So at 7700 should be about 100 and I think it's 120 watts if I'm not mistaken. 120 watts, and then for a 6600, it's not going to really take as much. You're still going to need, I always recommend at least for a build like that, about 650 watts, I would say, at the minimum. I'd swapped out a B650 for an X670. I swapped out a 7700 for a 9800 X3D, and had two different 7900 XEXs, and changed my RAM for four sticks of DDR5. Awesome. So is the RX 5700? Not really, to be honest. It's not going to be the greatest. You can get it, but it's not going to be the greatest. Yeah, no problem, Spider. So we're going to choose the CPU here. Now for a decent CPU, just say, again, a decent CPU is like the 9600. You could get a 9600X for a great deal. So we can put that together. Now we're going to need, I'm going to go to the motherboard instead first, and we're going to go pick the B650. Again, we saw gigabytes for a great deal. Let's go by price. Stay away from ASRock. We've heard, I'm sure you've heard a lot of things about it, especially when it came to the 9800 X3D. So we're going to say, go ahead, go get the Gigabyte one, as we saw earlier. And we could go with the CPU cooler. If you're going to get a 9600X, you don't have to go something too crazy. I can honestly say that system balance is key. Absolutely. Especially if you're using it for something like gaming, you really want to care about what type of GPU that you use. That's the most important part, is the GPU. Now, when it comes to, if you're more of a creator, that's when a CPU is more important, because the purpose of the CPU is to give you the ability to multitask. And you want to be able to, for example, streaming, right? If you stream and game, you're going to want to have a decent GPU, and you want to have a decent CPU because of the multitask ability. Now, if you have another PC where you can stream from, then you won't have to really worry as much about when it comes to the CPU usage, or the same thing, vice versa. So now when it comes to the fan, you don't have to go crazy. You can easily, like this Thermalright Peerless Assassin, heard great things about it. That's something that I definitely want to test on the channel too, is this Thermalright Peerless Assassin fan. So we'll throw that in there because it's not expensive and they're great. I actually didn't hear that heat. Hey, did you hear about the, yes, very terrible, very sad, I have to say. You have the 1500 RPM, 1550 RPM. So, memory, this is what scares me. I'm going to go to memory last because it's If you've seen the price, it's horrific. So let's go to storage here, and you might get the RTX 5060 Ti. I'm telling you that 5060 Ti. Okay, if you want to go 5060 Ti, you could get it, but I really highly recommend just give the 9060 XT a shot. I think you would like it, but I'm sure everybody's heard about the debacle about AMD currently. I will get to that once we get this SSD together here. We're gonna try to get just 1 terabyte just to save some money here. So we're going to get SSD. Capacity is only 1 terabyte. I'll just put that. There we go. Just to make it easy. We're going to go lowest price. NVMe, here you go. Timetech. Never heard of Timetech. Let's go ahead with the, that's out of stock, that one. Let's go King Spec. This is just random because obviously when it comes to SSD, you don't have to really look for anything specific unless you're looking for a very specific brand, especially if it's like, say, you're looking for PCI Express 5 or something. Then it would be necessary. So, press conference, if you're curious. 5070 Ti is the best. Certainly the best between the both if you're trying to look for... It's still a little expensive. What's up, Frozen? Yes, happy Wednesday. Glad you're here. Thank you for joining us. So, I don't ask for anything, so that's up to you, ADX. So, how do I connect a DisplayPort on a monitor? It's similar to just like an HDMI. You know what's funny? Speaking of Frozen, it's actually going to get pretty cold in Florida next Tuesday. It's supposed to get down as cold for us to like at the 40s. So that's really cold for us. So are there any Corsair AF120 alternatives? Since they are hard to find, I want to work for something similar for IQ. Okay, so you want to find a different fan? Sure, I'll get to you. I'll definitely get back to you about that. And yes, there are alternatives you can get when it comes to Corsair. Better than the 9070 XT. I know MVG's a bit biased. He had the 9070 XT, but he hasn't had a great experience, unfortunately, on his card. Yes, I do. It's a nice time for Arizona, just out the monsoons. Yeah, you know what? We're in the same boat practically. We just like we're in the dry season right now in Florida ourselves. So it's we're in that side where it's just going to be dry until about probably April. This is the nice time. This is the favorite time for all Floridians to enjoy for sure. But yeah, like when it comes to, let's choose the video card here. So if you're insistent, if you really want to look at like a say a 5060 Ti, I don't recommend it, but you can get it. 5060 Ti, get it on the cheap. Let's see. You don't want 8 gigabytes. You want to go for 16 at the minimum. So that's $429. So that's already $832. So that's not too bad. And then you can already, and then you just have to get the memory. The memory is the tricky part. Yeah, in Florida, by me, it's practical. Yeah, it's always like that. I'm assuming you're over, are you over in North Florida or South or Central? 7900 XTX has been great so far. 3-year Windows has, yes. And you know, speaking of which, all right, ADX, I'll see you later. So let's try to find some RAM on the cheap. Insane, look at that, $6 per gigabyte. It should be half of that. Now let's just say you wanted to get this. Let's see what the cheapest is, out of curiosity. We have to get DDR5, and we want to make sure to at least get 32 gigabytes. So the cheapest we can find is Crucial Pro's overclock at 32 gigabytes. Not terrible. And the latency is 36, so it's decent. I wouldn't say it's decent in today's market. So let's throw that on there. Southwest. Oh, okay, I gotcha. That's not bad. You're in a good spot. Okay, so that right there is $977. By the way, I might only get a PC next year, but I want some power for now. So should I add about 16? See, the problem is, Hash, when it comes to if you're looking for power out your PC, especially if you're looking for power when it comes to your laptop, unfortunately, RAM isn't going to give you power. What it'll allow you to do is give you some breathing room, but it's not going to add anything significant. What are you trying to pull out of your laptop? I have to ask, out of curiosity. What are you trying to? What are you expecting out of your laptop? If you're expecting, if you're a multitasker, it might help. But if you're trying to game on it, it's not really going to do anything. Just to let you know. And that's the thing, because that's when it. And you know what's crazy? Speaking of which, like, just to go back to this build real quick, it actually lags on Roblox. Okay, yeah. So, yeah. Unfortunately, it's not going to do much. That's when a video card comes more in handy. So, and like sometimes it crashes. Basically, sometimes. Okay, so that's gonna then more than likely that's going to be the issue. So to answer more than awesome Roblox real quick, since he's looking for Corsair alternative fans, let's go on Corsair's website together. We can certainly look for some, and I can give you a recommendation. The AF120s are usually more just for they're more like their standard fans. They do have other options here. Are you looking for something that is also RGB to where you're able to control it? Now, I know the AF120s do have RGBs, but they're not as bright as compared to some of the others. Now, I'm kind of thrown off with their naming scheme because they completely changed theirs. But let's go on Corsair. Let me see their products here. Let's see their fans. And we will go to right here. We will go back onto the browser here. And you can check out their fans here. And like sometimes it crashes. So basically sometimes, hey Chris, is it possible to build a gaming PC for 600? It is, but it's probably going to be better off if you do build a PC for like 600. More than likely you're probably going to end up picking up something like a APU, something that will have a integrated graphics that would make more sense and definitely save you if that's what you're looking for. Like, say the 9000G, when they do end up releasing it in January during the whole CES 2026 press conference, that might be something you're looking for. Or even the AMD AI 395s, they even have a pretty decent GPU practically built into it, up to 40 CUs. So that's quite the difference. That would probably be the best and most cheapest route to go if you're looking for a low type build, because we could definitely put it together here. I have 9 Corsair fans and the RGB controllers. It's a total mess. And they've also, swapped out for Arctic. Yeah, see, the thing is, like, once you go Corsair, you have to use their controllers. So that's the biggest problem that a lot of people do have. Now, if you're looking for more of an alternative, I do like the LX series. Now, the LXR is their reverse fans. Their LX RGB series is a decent one too. Now, their AX that's going to be here, PWM fans. This is like more of their standard fans. So you're looking for more of their blacked out fans, right? So you can also choose to go, you could go SP. That's the option. What's the best way to control Asia Horse's Cosmic Infinity fans? I think they're connected through your motherboard, if I'm not mistaken. They don't have their own controller. So if that's the case, say if you have an MSI board, you want to be able to use something like MSI Mystic Light to be able to control your lighting. That would definitely be the best choice. So I do have a 4000D airflow and the RGB AF 120s. I have an i5 11400 with the 3060 Ti. I noticed my fans ramping up quite a bit. So are you looking for better airflow? So the RGB, that's what I figured. You had the RGB AF 120s. So the thing is, if you do end up getting new fans, I would say the better ones would be something like, because what you want to look for is the higher RPM. Now, the fans that you're using, are they the ones connected directly to your case? Are they your regular case fans, or are they more of the ones that are connected to your AIO, so to say? Corsair's, I know. And you know what's crazy? It's that's another video I will be making coming up, and that's going to be based on IQ. There's a lot of people that have issues with it. I've complained to Corsair about it to myself, and I've even told them like what we would need as PC users, like in the software, and how they can make it better. But hopefully they listen out. I'll keep bothering them as long as I can. So the 5600X and a 2070 Super, maybe for 600-ish. I see. Once you do that, once you do something like that. Oh, really? That's funny, Frozen. I guessed correctly. That's right. You have the Tomahawk board, right? If I remember correctly, you had the MSI Tomahawk. That's a great board, by the way. And they just came out with there's one I got to show you guys. It's pretty dope. It's actually an MSI board. It's the Tomahawk, but actually has the rear connections. So I'd say if you get larger fans, more fan blades. That is correct. Absolutely. And you know what's nice when you do get a larger fan? Say if you go 140 millimeters on your case fan, instead of getting the like 120, it'll spin slower. It'll say run at like 12 or 1300 RPMs, but you are still getting the better airflow compared to something that'll spin like at say 1800 RPMs. It's more noisy, and you're getting the same airflow out of say 140 at 1200 RPMs. So looking at better airflow by adding 2 extra exhaust fans, I used the stock cooler. I had to run IQ as a minute. Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing about IQ. It gets really picky, especially when you have fans. And if you don't update the firmware, that's when it disappears on you. So if you do have Corsair, just make sure to definitely keep up on the firmware when it comes to it. Otherwise, it will give you problems. And increase it if you need to. Absolutely. So you're looking for better airflow by adding 2 extra exhaust fans. So I'm assuming they're both in the back. I use stock coolers. So I had IQS. Okay, so if that's the case, I'm assuming that the 2 extra exhaust fans are both 120. Since you're at that size, that's like an equal to 40. So would 140 fit in your case? Could you go up to like 280? You should have more room, because on the 4000X, if I remember correctly, there's a decent vent in the back. I have to look at the 4000X just to make sure, because the 4000X is a decent case actually. It's actually still widely used. They just upgrade it constantly. It might look a little bit different now. That's the only thing. I really like this 5400 case. I stare at it all the time. That triple chamber, it makes me really want to get it. So that's a 4000D. So I'm thinking it's going to be a little bit more similar to the 4000D. I know you have so let's take a look here. Okay, so you have 2 case fans that fit back here. Trying to get into it. Zoom in for us here. There we go. So that's a nice thing. The new ones, you can actually adjust the bracket to make it a bit more wider if you prefer. So that's always nice. And when it comes to the backside, isn't that dope? Like you can go 120, 140, even 160. and here's the different options. Okay, so the back, you can fit 140 and even up to 200, but that's unrealistic. Who the hell is gonna put something like a 280 millimeter fan? Oh, okay, that's pointing to that side. Okay, for a minute I was gonna say, who's gonna do that? Okay, so it says this one is up to 140. Is that correct? Like, is that setup look a bit more familiar to you, to yours? So 9x 120 millimeters gave me bad airflow. Changed it to Meshify to the 3XL, added 7140 and a 3100. It's a way more quiet, right, James? Like, when you put those 140 millimeter fans, they certainly make a difference. They're way more quiet, we're certain. It's amazing how much more quiet those larger fans are, and the airflow is increased. Absolutely. Yeah, that's what I mean. That's awesome. You know, one of my favorite fans that I gotta say, I know it gets a lot of flack because of the color, is Noctua. Noctua is just amazing. They're just amazing fans, and I really want their new, what is it, the NF? I think it's the what is it, the 25 version 2. I'm waiting on that, because when we do this whole Project Ninja, we want to go full stealth build. We want to go, we want everything all blacked out. All Noctua fans, just whisper quiet, because it seems like a lot of people are getting a lot more fed up when it comes to RGBs, especially like if you're trying to sleep in your bedroom and you have your PC in your bedroom and you're just sleeping in your bed, and then the lights just kick on. You know, they just like kick on, just like if it's like bright as rainbow just like shining in front of you. So that's not always an enjoyable sight, especially if you're just about to fall asleep. So love it, man. Honestly, it's night and day. And yeah, the black ones, absolutely. So I'm assuming, okay, so I'm assuming this is his case here. So he says he has 2 extra exhaust fans. So either okay, so maybe this is how he has it set up. He probably has, he says he has 4 intake, right? So if he has 4 of them, so I'm assuming he has 4 intake. He has 1, 2, he has 3 up here in the front. And then he probably has, I wonder if he has it on the side. He can't have it on the side in this case. I would assume he probably has it here, up here on the top. Unless he does 1, 2, unless he does it like that. He has these as intake, and he has 1, 2, 3 like that, or these 2 as exhaust. If that's the case, he can go 140 here. Honestly, he doesn't even really need as many intake, I'm assuming. Because if he has 4 and 3, he can always go, instead go, actually 4 and 2 would be better. Maybe even 3 and 1 would do well. It just depends on how he has his airflow set up. And the thing is, the less fans you actually have, the more quiet it is. Even though it looks nice just to have extra fans. But sometimes you don't want your fans to get that stagnant air. You know what I mean? Like if you get that stagnant air, it just ends up just not going anywhere. So it's really important to get more intake actually than more exhaust. So you want to have at least like 3 intake fans to say, and say 2 exhaust fans. So it's always better to get more intake actually into the PC, and your PC can actually breathe better. And another thing a lot of people end up not doing is actually checking out the filters of their PC, because they can collect quite a bit of dust. When that happens, that ends up actually drowning out, that ends up suffocating your PC practically. You can't breathe because it's all like dust in the actual filters. The nice thing is you can just pull those filters out and just blow them out, and your PC can breathe again, and it will sound completely different. It might have this weird whining sound like you might have never heard before ever since you got the PC, but it's just you got so used to having that PC that you forget to end up cleaning the filters, and that's a pretty that type of case does happen pretty often. So let's see. I do run a 120 on the back. The top could use a 240 or a 320. Okay, so I have one. So okay, so you have two 120, so that's equal to 240. So you have 320 that runs into the front. I had this one from 2021. So okay, so if that's the case, then you could certainly go. You could definitely do two 140, I would say. You want to, again, you want to get more intake in. So one 140 on the back and 3 as 120. Yeah, that would work. And it would get a lot more silent. It would sound so much better. So get try that out and see how you like it. Because you don't want to stagnate the air. And that's going to have enough power to push out for you. And if you choose to get Corsair, as this case as we have, let's take a look. Let's go back to Corsair here. Again, as we were taking a look at this case, we were just mentioning, I know your case is similar to this one. You said you had the 4000X, so instead you have more of the glass panel in the front, I believe. This one's the 4000D, so this is more of the airflow case. I'm assuming the R, is it? No, they don't have the X anymore. But the 4000D is more the airflow case. Again, the way this is designed, we were just taking a look at how the fan setup was. So let me go back down here. And if it's more like this setup here, you can easily set it up to where you can definitely get better airflow. I'm assuming that your processor, just to ask, is it AIO? Get a 208? Yeah. I was going to say that's exactly what I was thinking, James. Read in my mind. Because that certainly could also make quite the difference as well. AIOs can certainly make it a bit more quiet. And when you look for fans for AIOs, usually they come with it anyway. But say if you did want an aftermarket fan, you want to look for the static pressure in it. So if we're looking at Corsair here, and we wanted to look at, say you wanted to look for your AIO. Say you didn't like the stock fans that they came with, because not everyone will. You're right on point, James. So when you take a look here, like if you're looking at their regular fans, the RS series, just say, now you see how right here it's going to say 10 to 36 decibels. Now that's the noise level. That's how loud it can really get. You're going to want to stay away from this. It probably gets a ton of airflow. It gets about 2100, so that's decent, but it's definitely on the noisy side. Anything like over 31, I'd say, is going to be pretty nasty in sound. But if you don't mind it, some people don't mind it, that's you can certainly go that direction. Now the better ones are these hydraulic ones. Again, that goes up to 20 decibels, so it's way more silent. And this is 120 millimeters. You get some only up to 1300 RPM. Let's take a look here, just out of curiosity. Now the specifications you're going to look at is right here on the tech specs, and you're going to look for static pressure. Now this is meant more for when it comes to like if you have like an AIO, you want to put fans on your radiator and you want it a bit more quiet, because I know some of them could be pretty noisy. And this one can certainly do it. And this is what you want to look for, is the fan static pressure. The fan static pressure is at 0.28 to 1.46 millimeters H2O. So that's decent. That's actually not too bad. Now, if you compare it to something like the RS Max. Let me go back here. The RS Max. Now, this can go up to 120 to 140 millimeters, this fan. So you can definitely take advantage of its size. Now, it's magnetic, so that's also decent. This one's is less prone to failure because it's magnetic. It's also, sound level is 29.5, so it's decent. And the fan speed, so this is a much better fan. This is a way better fan if you're getting all blacked out one. Yeah, it's pretty nice, right? It's pretty impressive, I gotta say, their new series. The RS Max is actually certainly the most impressive, like taking a look at this one. And then if you take a look at the tech specs, this is what you're going to want to look for. Now, it's fast. It's still under 30 decibels, so it's actually not loud. And just imagine you go for 140. Let's take a look at 140. Watch the decibel levels drop here. Now, if you go 140 here, now we got to scroll down through all their BS just to get there. And here it is. Okay, so it's a bit louder, 31 decibels. That's like the limit, I gotta say. Now, when it comes to their static pressure, it's much higher. The other one we looked at was only a 1.8, it was. And this goes up to 2.4, so it certainly can definitely do a lot better for a I/O. Now, also when it comes to airflow, this is what you want to look for when it comes to the case. And this is the flow of how much air is actually coming into the case. So this can go up as high as 104. Most fans can only go up to maybe about 60 to 70. So this certainly gets a lot of airflow. So if you're looking for a much better performance, I would certainly give this an approval if you're going for Corsair. Now, if it matters if it's RGB, that's the question. If it does matter if it's RGB, then you're going to have to look at a separate option, obviously, because the RS120s are more of the ones that are more of the stealth look. Now, they do have RGB options. The RGB options here, the SPs are a bit of their lower model. Again, we could browse right through this. Sound levels at 22.6, 24.8 for LLs, 30, that's high. That's really high. And that's the AF RGB, similar to what you have. And the airflow is at 2100. So it's actually pretty high for these fans. Like you said, they are out of stock. So if you're looking for a replacement, you can even get the QLs I do like. QLs are nice because not only they're also decent when it comes to their bearing type of hydraulic. The better ones obviously are going to be magnetic. But this one's a lot louder. So if you had to choose, QL's definitely a nicer one. But again, you're paying for the fanciness of the fan because you're paying for the RGB rings on not just this side, it's on both sides. So no matter which direction it's facing, you'll actually have a ring on both sides. That's the difference between the QLs and the LLs. So because they're practically the same fans, it's just that the other side of the LLs don't have any ring around it, which it's not showing. But if you look on the other side of it, it's just going to be just practically just like a flat side of the fan. But yeah, if you really want to step it up, you just want to go off of Corsair, and the QLs are thinner. Yes, that's what it is too. They are a bit thinner. Same thing with the SPs. They're a lot thinner. That's more of like their cheaper fans. Now they only go 1500 RPM. That one you don't want to really go to. That's not going to do anything for you. What's up, Squeeze? Welcome back. Good to see you back here. We're just talking fans. And let's take a look up here. Now this is more of their newer stuff that they're showing off here. They do have an RX. You know what? There you go. That's perfect. They do have a RGB version. I guess people loved it so much that they came out with the RGB version. But this is 36 decibels. So this one's a bit loud compared to the original. Wonder what they did. But I like the RX. I like the original RX. Because these ones are a bit louder than those. It seems like they got louder. Look, 36 decibels, 37 point. These are much louder. That's insane. So what does that do when it will make noise worse, though? That's what I want to know. Oh, man. Squeeze has it out for Lisa Sue there. AIOs are possibly hard to find from the LGA 1200. Yeah, the LGA 1200, that is definitely going to be more of... That's a bit difficult because I know for the LG GA1200s, they're practically like the 1700 just without the standoffs. So it's also quite a bit smaller, of course, compared to the LGA 1700s. So if you are trying to look for an AIO, hopefully they still have it. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm curious. Let's take a look if you wanted to stick with Corsair here. And the Venom Voodoo. Better than Peerless Assassin, and also, he wants to stick with Corsair here. So let's take a look at their AIOs, just out of curiosity, see if they actually have something for LGA 1200. If they do, that would be great for them, and especially if they came with decent fans here. Now, as soon as we look at these, we immediately know what the RX is. These are the LCD series, XT series. So let's just look for the typical one, just out of curiosity. You used the Quest at all? No, I haven't. I have not. That's one thing I haven't done. So, LGA, no. Yeah, they don't have the 1200 anymore. It is going to probably be a bit difficult to find. That would be pretty frustrating. Let's see. Here you go. Here goes one actually. iQOO RGB Elite Series. And this one can actually go to a 1200 even. It can even go back to the... That's pretty crazy. They can go back to even the Intel 1151. And that's an old chipset. That's like from 2014. So this one might be the better option, definitely. If you choose to get a AIO, the iQOO Elite Series. And you don't really need a full 360 millimeter radiator either. The Kaza is from 2009 to 2010, but it was made from yes. So it's big enough to cover the 12th. Yeah, because I believe they fit on LGA 2011, right? Wasn't it the LGA 2011 for the Xeons? And it was also the LGA 1200 that it can fit in. Okay, so with Intel, this is probably it. You can probably get this one. Really? Oh, that's interesting. So, powerful, low noise. You can get this one. Might be, I would say, the best budget one. You can definitely go with these, but these use the SP fans. If you want the better one, go with the iQOO RGB Elite Series, and that's $140. Do they still sell the Kaza? But if you get a modded bracket LGA 1851, oh yeah, but for his is really a LGA 1200. But I do know like they do have those modded brackets that you can get. I'd always boycott Corsair until they fix their software, to be honest. Yeah, they made it a lot easier to connect to their fans and everything. But the biggest problem is, again, it's just like exactly what James is saying. Its software is really questionable when it comes to iQOO here. The Medusa is rare though. Yeah, I would figure. It's going to be hard to find any of those. You know what I would highly suggest if you do choose to go AIO? If you can find it, I would say even something like NZXT is decent. You can get their AIOs, and they are actually really good when it comes to cooling. So I'm going to try looking on NZXT and see if they have a decent one for you. I know they even have Deep Cool. If you're looking for really cheap, let's go to Deep Cool even. Deep Cool has some AIOs, definitely way underrated. Not a lot of people use them, but if you take a look, you'd be quite impressed with their cooling here. Because take a look at this. I'm gonna look at their 240, right? It's only... Now the question is, what are the specifications for it? And what can it fit on? So like something like this, and they're actually pretty quiet, their fans. They're actually not bad. people need to realize that Windows has monitoring software. Motherboard has monitoring software, and you also add drivers that have it as well. So why do I? Yeah, that's the thing. They do it so that way they claim that they do it to improve their software. That's their whole thing. So let's go ahead and go take a look here, and this is their LE240 V2. Now the LE240 V2, decent AIO. Now the question is, will it be able to support LGA 1200? And yes, they do. Applications for LGA 1851, 1700, and 1200. It's 12 p.m. So let's try this. So we're gonna go in to look this up. Again, you can get it for a good deal. LE250, 240, and we're gonna go take a look at Amazon real quick. And on Amazon, I bet you we can find an excellent deal on it. And when we do, you can even get something like that. Let's see, deep cool. Where is it? That's funny. Usually they always have it. Maybe it's hard to get now, in fact. Oh, here it is. I found some of them. So this one's like $63.99 at Tekken. And take a look here. This is it. It's only $60.99. That's it. And it's way cheaper. What was that, Jonah? So I'm UK. I was the first person to water cool a i5 1135G7. Well, ice cool. Awesome. CPU was at no way. No way it was that cool. That'd be quite insane. That'd be crazy to keep it that cool. But yeah, this one's a decent one if you're looking for a AIO, especially on a 1200. It seems like they're still available. I know you might not really want to do it, but if you do it, it's 100% worth it. It'll be way more quiet, and you would certainly enjoy your PC a lot more. But if you're looking to build somewhat in the near future, at least this is like a temporary thing you can do for your PC, and you would still be able to use it for. You would still be able to use it for. I'm assuming you want to use it for gaming or for. If Forza 6 decided to have issues, this is when I would decide to do a new build. The future with the 5060 Ti, 16 gigabytes with the Ryzen 7 and a newer 4000 frame case. Hope for the best that thing performs well. I gotta say, I do like the 4000 case. It's a reason why Corsair does constantly sells these cases. I know not all of us do agree with Corsair's methods when it comes to their software, but their cases are really awesome. Especially, like, every time I do look at cases, they're the only ones that currently has this right now, and that's their triple chambered case. And it's quite... This is something you definitely got to look at. Like, if anyone is thinking of a PC build, especially if you're thinking of like some sort of BTF build, or if you're thinking of some sort of stealth or Project Zero build, this is something worth looking at. Because if you take a look at the Air 5400, it's quite incredible. It has triple chambers on it, and that is what's really amazing about this product. You can actually keep it nice and cool. The pricing, you would seem like you would automatically assume it's like extremely high, but it's not that bad. I'm using 430 watts Montech PSU, and my PC that's gonna, well, your PSU would burn out more before your PC does. Yeah, it would just suddenly shut off, and you won't be able to turn it back on events. It might light up, but it would just like be burned out at that point. PSU over. Definitely overclock a PSU at your own risk. So if you take a look here, take a look at this case. This is what it looks like. It's pretty dope. This one's triple chambered. And if you take a look here, take a look at that. It doesn't look like your typical case. The reason why it has triple chamber design is not only does it exhaust for your GPU, it also exhausts for your CPU, which is up here, and then your GPU is right here on the bottom. And then up on this side here, that actually will help keep your PSU cool. Again, this is the top end of it, of the case. So again, GPU on the bottom, CPU up here onto the to the top, and then it also has a PSU cooler practically on it. So this is great for anyone that is thinking of like a BTF type of build. So if you're unfamiliar with BTF build, let me show you this. I gotta say, this is quite amazing looking at this. This is quite a beautiful board, I gotta say, for the most part. If you see this board, you might want to get it. It's pretty amazing looking. This would actually go really well with a 9070 XT, especially if you have the Sapphire Nitro Plus. I'm curious about their motherboards too, but the thing is, I want to see them come out with something like a full version, like an X870 version of it. That would be dope. Let's see. Right. This is it. No. Trying to pull it up here. It is the Tomahawk. Right. This is it, I think. Let me just make sure. Because I have pictures of it. You know what? Let me just go in Discord, because that's where I have it. I have it on Discord. So I'll share it with you guys there. So on Discord, it is under the PC hardware side. And right here. So it looks like this. This is the board here. Those colors are tough though. Those are some nice colors. So it's not like your typical like real all white board. It has like a little bit of grayish to it. So that's why I think it would match really well if you ended up getting like the Sapphire Nitro Plus. It would look really nice. And then on the back, here you go. This would work great on something like the Corsair Air 5400. What's up, Doge? Probably for like 30 minutes more or so. Good to see you, Epic or Tony. So, how much headroom wattage would you advise to have in choosing a PSU so as not run at the upper limit? It depends. So, if you're building a PC, you want to have at least like, for example, if your minimum requirement is like 980 watts, you don't want to get 1,000 watts and be like, oh yeah, I got an extra 20 watts, that'll do. You want to go a bit higher. You want to at least go at 1,200 watts if that's the case. If your PC limits at like 550 or 600, you want to go at like at least 750. So you want to go at least a little bit over 100. Not a little bit over 100, but over 100, I would say. So thoughts of the X670E. So that I will, but right now I am on a stream camera, so unfortunately I can't just pull my PC up to the camera. So thoughts on the X670E. The E-Gaming, the X670E E-Gaming, I'm assuming. Sorry, call for 100 and 200 watts. Yes. That's what I would say. You want to go over at least over 100 at the minimum. So, or you're gonna have Squeeze overclock it for you. He just went to overclock his PSU. What was it? 400 watts to 600. So if it's the X670E e-gaming motherboard. Let's take a look at it. I'll show you exactly about it. I think it's a decent motherboard. It's a great motherboard if you're looking for alternative compared to the X870. Yeah, of course, the X870 is slightly improved because they did add new things, such as USB 4. They have 2 connections for USB 4. The audio driver is a bit better on the X670 versus the X870. So, but other parts such as the Wi-Fi and the Bluetooth drivers, it's just slightly newer on the X870, not a huge difference over the X670. Also, when it comes to the connections, the connections are mostly the same for the most part. The Ethernet speed, when it comes to internet speed, it's going to be a little bit slower compared to what the new X870 has, which is going to be 5 gigabits compared to something that is only at 2.5 gigabits. Which wouldn't matter if your internet limit doesn't go past 2.5 gigabits. So, the ROG Strix X670E. Is it true it's better than the Hero? I would say they're probably very similar to each other. I can't say it would be better than the Hero. Let's go, and I will certainly take a look at that for you. I'll bring it up for you so we can take a look at the board together to show you what the features are So you said the Strix E. Yeah, so just like as I was saying, here it is, tech specs. Replace BM. Yeah, no, I wouldn't suggest that. Don't wait for your PSU to blow. But it doesn't really blow, it'll just short out, really. Like if your PSU does go bad, it's just going to smell like burnt electric. I had to replace my PSU before to a CX430 to a CX. It's a big difference, right? Yeah, that's a signal. That's when you know that there's something wrong with your PSU when it does that. Chris, all it takes is a certain mustache and you will look like a certain man. Oh yeah? Your hair is the same. That's funny. So let's take a look here. Okay, so we're going to the browser here. And here we go. This is the ROG Strix X670E Gaming. So we're going to the tech specs here. And this is what I want to show you guys. So the biggest difference here is the memory is going to be mostly the same. The graphics will be the same. The expansion slots, that's going to be mostly pretty much the same here. And then when you go here to your NVMe for your M.2, it's going to be mostly the same. Now, if you end up using like the M.2 slot for your AMD board here, just note that if you do end up using PCI Express 5, be careful of the lane that you do end up choosing, because you do not want to split the power of your expansion slot here, which can happen. Now, the bigger difference is that it uses a 2.5 gigabit connection compared to what they have now is the 5 gigabit connection. Also, when it comes to the Wi-Fi, this is the same. Bluetooth is going to be slightly lower compared to the newer version, where it's going to be version 5.3 or the newer version, or 5.4. It's either one of those, but it's just slightly downgraded. Now the rear USB, it's going to have plenty of ports that you don't have to worry about. The only difference is on the newer boards that they have 2 USB-C ports compared to just the at 40 gigabits compared to just at this 10 by Type A by 2 by USB-C instead of this one here, which is not going to be as quick. Now it does have the USB 3.2 2x2 connection. Now this is the more superior part when it comes to the motherboard here, is that it actually has a better sound codec. It uses ALC 4080. Because it uses ALC 4080, the sound will be more defined compared to the newer boards. So this is what is the only the upgrade compared to the newer boards. Same thing with the audio. It has better audio. You have more options. This is why people might find it superior. I'll show you the picture later. But you'll have more ability if you choose to connect it to, say, like some sort of surround sound. Can you customize the screen on the Aorus Master? On the screen, which one? Are you speaking of the GPU or are you talking about the actual motherboard? So, what's up, Zay? Good to see you. Oh yeah, I bet. Somehow my old Windows XP can... Oh yeah? How'd you get it to work? Was it just low in charge and you just turned it on and started working? Because sometimes it's odd like that. Maybe it finally like flicked on, like everything just ended up. All I want for Christmas is a 1600 watt EVGA PSU with the 5090. That would be amazing. Yeah, maybe Santa will bring it through. Oh, on the motherboard. Okay, so on the motherboard, I don't believe it's customizable to that sense. You might have some preset settings, I remember, on something like the Gigabyte Aorus Master. On the motherboard side, at least. I wouldn't be surprised if in the near future you would be able to. We're not too far off to that point. Now you can customize it on the GPU, but just not the actual motherboard itself. Does lane sharing still matter? Yes. It can still happen on PCI Express 4. Now, I would pair a RTX 6000 at ADA and a... That would be insane if you did something like that. So many old pictures, nostalgia. Man, Windows XP was the GOAT. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you know, it's funny like how, simple it was. I remember the days, like, I would just bring in... oh, I just realized the camera went out. Wonder why. What's up, Batman? Yeah, I know. I don't know why it went off. Let me see. Tried to turn it back on. Hopefully it turns back on. Yeah, I just realized it shut off. Apologize for that. Yeah, it's loading up now. There we go. Yeah, that was weird. I must have thought I was on standby or something, so the camera just ended up shutting off on its own. But, yeah, so what's up, Batman? Gateway from 2004 with Northwood Pennington 4. But that's like back in the day, like when they actually had Northbridge and Southbridge and like all that good stuff when it came to motherboards. And you had the old IDE connectors when it came to your optical drives and your hard drives. And you had the master IDE side, and then you had to have a slave IDE. Those are like the first days of like building PCs. That was like insane back then, because just the level of difficulty it was back then compared to what it is now. It's certainly much easier, for sure now. Yeah, isn't it insane? DDR4 is really expensive. We were looking at that too, because I was looking at like, say, 3600 DDR4 RAM. And the funny thing is, we talked about this. We talked about how RAM is going to get more expensive, especially when it came to DDR4, because they planned on stop producing it. And now, of course, the pricing for DDR4 is going to be a lot more expensive now. So what slots do you put in your SSDs in if you have multiple? So it all depends. It depends on your motherboard. Now, most of them, if you use the second or the third, it's the second or the third slot, it will actually go into your PCI Express lane for your card. So if you use 4 and 5, those are the ones to use. Now, some motherboards can be different depending on how many M.2 drives or slots that you do have. So I'm looking to reverse connect a motherboard from MSI since they make GPUs. I would like to use them, but I have heard some... It depends on their GPU they use. Now, I can say the Ventus is more of one of their questionable GPUs. It's not the greatest ones. But I can certainly say, like, if you end up going with their other choices, they're not as bad. It's just the Ventus I would watch out for. Now, when it comes to like their other ones, what's it called? The MSI Tri something. I have to look to refresh my memory. Trinity, is it called? Or Trident? It's the MSI Trident. The MSI Trident is also a great GPU. They also have the Supreme, which is also a awesome GPU. Just don't get the Ventus. That one's just like not as good. And that's the one that's more prone to failure. It's because of the AMD data centers and the production. Yeah, it's exactly the reason. And the production for DDR4, so you can certainly expect it to go up. You certainly have a better chance to get DDR4 if you were to get it off of something like eBay. You can definitely get a better price on DDR4 used. You could probably get an even better price if you go to, say, like Facebook Marketplace, you go to OfferUp or any type of website, someone's selling it, they're more than likely going to sell it for a fair price compared to you buying it brand new, to be honest, when it comes to, especially the DDR4. So, yeah, the Gaming Trio, that's exactly what I was thinking. Gaming Trio is a decent one. SFX PSUs are so expensive. Yeah, you know, personally, my favorite PSUs, like when it comes to a brand, I would have to say Seasonic. Seasonic makes some excellent PSUs, and the wires they give you are top notch. They're not cheap little PSU wires that they give you. They're decent wires where you can actually flex the cables. You know the cables are cheaper, or you know the PSU is cheaper when you're unable to be able to really move it around the case the way you would like to. But if you buy a decent power supply like Seasonics, it definitely makes quite the difference. So I have had a problem with the MSI Gaming X 3060 Ti. Well, yeah, that's a decent one. It's more of the Ventus. MSI Ventus is the one you will want to watch. That's the one that gives a bit more of an issue, especially just the standard one. That's from what I've seen. Every other MSI hasn't really given as much as an issue. So, you know, I do have to bring up a subject before I do forget about that, is the whole AMD side when it came to their 5000, their 6000 series GPUs, that they said that they're going to stop making drivers for anything that is for RDNA 1 or RDNA 2. I don't know how it's made people's confidence feel hearing something like that. I would love to hear from you guys out there who have any of the 5000 series or 6000 series, maybe even earlier. How did you feel about when AMD made that announcement? So Asus stuff, that's it. I swear that's like your favorite line there. I personally only ever had good luck with MSI motherboards. That's again nowhere. Their motherboards have been great. I love their Carbon series especially. I agree on the Ventus can be a bit of a miss sometimes depending on the cooler. Choosing 2 slots, ones with, that's exactly the problem. That's why I had to mention the Ventus, because there is different tiers of Ventus. They do have like the basic one, and that's the one that I want everyone to avoid. That's practically like buying the it's like buying the original NVIDIA cooler. It's like buying, not the cooler, the original NVIDIA GPU, the Founders Edition. It's like buying that, but from MSI. They use like practically a blower instead of like a truly like big fans on there to dissipate the heat. Excuse me. My whole house and city smells like smoke from all of the fireworks. Or it could be your PSU, right? That your nice PSU that's been overclocked there. You're testing the limits of that one. So, but yeah, that's the one you really want to watch for. Is that now when it comes to GPUs, also I do warn everyone, you do want to watch out for the PNY ones. In the current generation, I can say at the least, because they seem to be a bit finicky at the most part. As much of PNY's hardware when it comes down to it. They used to be like really big back then. They used to have all kinds of stuff. They used to have RAM. They used to have everything. They still have like the USB flash drives and everything, but again, it's like one of those companies out there that are mediocre. You don't want to purchase GPUs from PNY as well. Recently, they're more known for a blown capacitor that actually happened on a RTX 5090. And that's the reason why you see so many on sale. Like if you see a PNY, let me go with the cheapest option. The cheapest option is always the best. If you do choose to go PNY, at least get the warranty with it. Definitely get the warranty with it. So I am not. We just spoke about it. We actually spoke about Florida. That's where I'm at. So I'm being 100% honest. My 5090 Ventus has a perfectly decent cooler, but the Ventus on the 2080 Ti was kind of bad. That's exactly the model I was talking about too, because that's immediately what I reverted back thinking about was the 2080 Ti. It really was not the best cooler. You should try out Parsec for fun. Yeah, for sure. It's annoyed me. The power connection issue with NVIDIA, to be honest. Like, I want the best. I just don't want... You know, the funny thing is about the whole 12-volt high power port. I'm telling you, like, a lot of the cases, first off, is going to be the 12 user error. It's going to be the person who put the PC together. That's the most honest side of it. But I can say 100% it is not the best type of power harness you would like to use. It's definitely not the best connection to use for a GPU. Gigabytes engineers, electrical engineers, said that the maximum you should really put through a 12-volt high-power port is at 325 watts. That's a most that you should really put inside of this port. But as you know, the RTX 5090, the RTX 4090, they're not limiting at 325 watts. In fact, you have, for the 4090, you had it pushing, 475 watts. I think it was 25 watts. And then for the 5090, you're pushing as high as 575 watts. So that's double of what Gigabyte's electrical engineers said the maximum of these 12-volt high-power ports should really go. That's why we all thought, originally when they came out with the whole 50 series, that they were going to come out with dual 12-volt high-power ports. But it never happened. They decided to produce these RTX 5090s anyway, and here we are. So I pushed my GPU cable. So I already had melted 8-pin cables. Awesome. I always had luck with EVGA. And I really miss Kingpin. And another company that actually used to make GPUs for NVIDIA, and they were really decent too. Another company that was decent was XFX. They actually made the GPUs as well for NVIDIA. And they were actually one of the first ones to actually leave NVIDIA, even before, obviously, EVGA. Unfortunately, XFX is more focused on the AMD side, and EVGA is not really around as often as they used to be. And unfortunately, that makes sense, but hopefully, we all hoped, at least, that they would go to the AMD side, because that would really be interesting if that's the case. So power lanes can't manage it. Yeah, exactly. Burn out. And the thing is that's the thing. There's power going through that too. And there's a lot of new research currently. I know Asus is doing it now. Is where they're going to be able to power up through PCI Express with these practically these modified connections, especially on the BTF boards. To where if you install RTX 5090, that it wouldn't require you to install the 12-volt high-power port. Instead, you just put in this extra bus that's on the card or on the board to supply the power for the RTX 5090. Of course, it would require a very specific PCB because of it, because you would need the cold fingers to do it. But it's a great idea if they do it. But the thing is, hopefully they don't charge such a premium price for it. I do get why they do it, because it takes a ton of research to do it, but they gotta be able to get it out there first in the wild to really get approval. So how much straw can 6? Now that you're talking about PCI Express, the original PCI Express, it was what was it? I got it together. What was it again? You're talking about PCI Express, I'm assuming. just lost it. There you go. I love the copper on the Kingpin. Yeah. It was awesome. Like when I took out a 3080 Ti and was a Kingpin, it was really an amazing amazing look at the time. What software do you recommend to protect my PC? Now, when it comes to software, when it comes to antiviruses, honestly, Microsoft Defender works perfectly fine. I wouldn't worry about it too much. NVIDIA should just put 750 volts. Insane. My brother has a 4080 with the i9 11900. He mostly plays Minecraft. Also runs the server with 64 gigabytes of RAM. Is it subscription based? No. Microsoft Defender comes with the PC practically. Now you can choose a subscription based one. If you do choose one, I feel Norton is certainly like the better one to go with. No, it's what is it? I think it's up to 100 and 100 and it's more like 180 if you're thinking PCI Express. That's what I think. But I mean, yeah, you don't really want to push it. I see what you're saying. Bitdefender is another good choice too. That CPU is a bottleneck. So, yeah, so technically, actually, you know what you can do? You can actually push up to even 225 watts if you really wanted to. If you really wanted to push 225 watts, you could. But most people don't do it anyway. And again, it's like, yeah, whatever happened to like knowing limits? But the thing is to just say and put it out to the public, like it works perfectly fine. Go ahead, install it. But there's definitely going to be some sort of change to happen. I wouldn't be surprised if sometime near in the future we hear like ATX 3.5, like 3.5, where there's going to be some sort of revision. Because it's one of those products where it feels like, it's kind of like, feels like more like something that shouldn't exist. It shouldn't be here as long, especially when it comes to the 12-watt high power port. Don't you think it's actually lasted quite a lot longer than I thought it originally was? And there's, again, it's a lot of human error, I feel, more than anything that's currently happening. But again, you can understand why. It's a very bad connection. The fact that the GPU shroud direct heats towards the PCI Express, yeah, it's questionable. It also blows hot air into the CPU at the same time. It depends how you face it too. It's funny because there's a lot of cases out there that don't really have that option anymore, like where you can actually use the bottom as an intake for your fans, because it would certainly help the airflow, especially when it comes to your GPU. But again, a lot of cases are a dual chamber. If you do end up getting a case that can do it, I would certainly recommend it. And that's one of the things I gotta say is like, that's why I don't really recommend putting the GPU vertically as much, because again, you're just blowing the fan up against the case. Really, you're not really. It's more of an aesthetically pleasing type of look, but it's not going to really do anything for the PC itself. So I spray. Well, to check the airflow. That's a great idea, Squeeze. So 3x6, yeah, 540 watt. Yeah, if you use 3 of them. And that's the funny thing. It's the limit is, that's why like when it comes to the RTX 5090, you see as many as 4 to 1. Like when it comes to their power harness, it goes to 4 to 1. It's insane. John Gura has an interesting video on 6pin. He works on power supplies for Corsair. We might as well send Squeeze with him. It was something like are rated for 150 watts but can do 300 watts. You know what was has anybody seen the study that Igor's lab had about the 12-volt high power port when this issue was happening? Just to see like how much power draw, how hot did the RTX 5090 truly get? And there was like a very specific pin, like where it would get hot. That is, and it's crazy. The crazy thing is it's still here. It's not obviously going to go away until Possibly. I don't even think it'll go away in the Super series anyway. If anything, they'll probably go with something different in the 60, 90, and then you would see something different. But it might not even truly really be that different. They might just add another port instead, because maybe it'll cause less complications, or they're afraid of failure of installation twice. I saw a guy make a homemade portable Xbox 360. The guy, oh, that's good. I don't know how you're gonna survive that one. That sounds rough. But yeah. So at least now, the good thing is that AMD has admitted that they will start updating the RDNA 1 and 2. I feel that AMD certainly needs work on their marketing department when it comes to it, because they're going to end up losing a lot of customers because they're going to lose faith in their hardware. Nobody's going to be sure if it's really worth purchasing something like AMD, especially if the card's only, say, 3 generations old, and now that it's considered EOL, end of life, and that they're not going to update the card anymore. So it can potentially burn like yeah, he's a bit that's a bit insane. Yeah, the current unbalancing issue, it can be on the card, the PSU, and the connector. 1 or 2 pins exceeded 10 amps and gets too warm. Exactly. Yep. And that's the problem. That's exactly what it was. Thank you, Nor, for answering. I don't want AMD to do the higher power single cable. They done it on a couple cards. They only done it on the Sapphire Nitro Plus and on Tai Chi. They did it on the ROG Tai Chi RX 9070 XT as well. Obviously, hasn't been as many failures as like the RTX 5090, because that, of course, that has the higher chance of failure, because again, you're pushing so much power through something like that. Yeah, I agree. So, fam guys, hopefully you enjoyed today's streaming session. If you did, make sure you don't forget to give a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe down below. Also, feel free to join the Discord channel as well. It's free. Just go down to the description box. If you're on Twitch, you can go to chrismizo.com, and again, you could show off your PC builds. If you need help with your PCs, definitely show it off. Would love to see it. And also, if you need any help with your PCs, if you need troubleshooting or any problems, feel free to ask questions. Any of us will answer. Squeeze will show you how to overclock his PSU. I wouldn't recommend it though. Good night, everybody. Have a great night. Hopefully everybody has a great week so far. Definitely will be streaming again on Saturday morning, and looking forward to seeing all of you on stream then. So ever since, became unstable, my Acer. Oh wow. Thanks so much, guys. Make sure to join. Have a great night, guys. Great morning or afternoon, depending wherever you are in the world. Thanks so much for joining in.